Ah, okay, yeah, video. Yeah, can't see the back of the camera. Anyway, response video to Nick, probably on this MMT stuff. I'll just, he made a video, so I will make some response to it, of some kind, anyway. Anyway, I was working on these cameras, couldn't fix these cameras, and I figured out how to fix them. So I figured maybe I'll have some sort of auction or something. So on this channel, if you PM me, and, offer a price, they're $150 camera. It's a Flip Ultra. So I did, it's broken. I mean, it works, but it's broken. You know what I mean? So it records video okay. All it has is a little tiny message on the screen that says the sensor, actually says bad temperature, blah blah blah. But it records fine. Hit the record button, I think. And well, I missed it. There, I hit it that time. So as you can see, it's recording, and the little message doesn't show up in the video recording actually. So it works. The video's fine. You just have this stupid little message on the screen, and it won't recharge batteries because I disabled the recharger. So you just use regular batteries. Regular rechargeable batteries will fit in here, no problem. You can even use like regular alkali batteries, just AA's, no problem. And it's probably better not to use the camera to recharge batteries anyway, because it's, flips have a lot of trouble recharging wise. And so anyway, yeah, so I say, maybe I'll put a limit of $50, no higher than $50, so I don't want anybody getting stupid. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. So I guess the first person that bids $50 wins. Anyway, you have to have a PayPal account. Has to be a US shipping address, and so you PM this channel, Fair Economics, with a bid, and and whoever wins, I'll respond to your PM, and then you pay the PayPal. And if you don't pay the PayPal, then I'll just go to whoever the next highest bid is, or the next person who bid. And 24-hour limit or something. So anyway, yeah, like I said, they sell new for $150. This is the second generation, so it's not the newest flip, but it's exactly the same as the newest flip, except it doesn't have. It's a model U2120. So it's got 8 gigabytes of memory, high definition, and 2 hours at 8 gigabytes. So they're big files. What else? Yeah, that's probably it. USB just connects to your computer. The software is built into the device. Actually, they're brand new. You see, this one's still got a little thingy over the lens here. So most of them that I have are brand new. So anyway, this is the camera that I will send. So this one does have a little thing over the front, and so it was basically new. I just disabled the thing that senses the temperature because it kept going off and the camera was unusable. So anyway, yeah, that's it. But it's not going to catch fire or anything. It'll be alright. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so on to the video. I just want an excuse to use the camera. Just to see. They are pretty good cameras. So I think I said everything. Okay, US address, PayPal, and nothing over $50. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think you got the idea. PM this channel, nowhere else. This channel. That's it. And don't worry about this. It's gonna be. I got a few of these. Like a dozen or more maybe. Anyway. Alright, so this MMT stuff. So the ModernMystic is just sort of saying that these guys are making sense. We're talking like, alright, money's sort of an illusion. And that's sort of what the banking system is made into, because they basically are just making as many loans as possible, and they really don't worry about reserves. They really don't worry about keeping money in the bank. Now, banks have lots of assets, though. They do have deeds that they own, and they have all this other stuff. But the point is most of that stuff, they try to convert into a loanable material. So basically, banks deal with each other, I guess, in some respects, and they'll give like one bank A will give bank B a mortgage, so he can turn that mortgage into cash, so he can lend the cash, because it can only get so much from the Federal Reserve a year. I mean, they can only put so much cash into the economy that actually stays in the economy. Yeah. So I mean, the Federal Reserve keeps track of that, and the number's about $5 trillion. So there's $5 trillion worth of actual green cash, but there's all this electronic cash in the banks, in the computers, in terms of what's on registers, and what's accounted for as deeds or stocks or bonds, all this other stuff. So anyway, the theory is that you can just do this stuff forever. You can do this deficit spending thing is what it comes down to. Is that usually these MMT guys are justifying or saying it's okay for the government just to print money because it, the expenditures are worth it. Like there's some sort of return for the money invested. So any money you throw into the economy is going to be productive. But the bottom line is, though, is if it's lent money, if it's a bond, you're going to have to pay interest on it. If you just print cash, the implication is that you're going to create inflation. And so they aren't really creating cash. I mean, Nick's saying they are, but I don't think he can demonstrate that they are. But yeah, I mean, we would agree that it's the whole point is to maximize employment and to encourage people to be as conscientious and productive as possible, and so you get the most you can out of your economy without slipping off that slope of exploitation. I mean, I've made this point before. I mean, slavery was hugely productive for the human race. I mean, it built our country in a lot of ways. I mean, you couldn't, if you had to pay labor to make all that land farmable and all the other stuff the slaves did, it would have been very difficult to do, because you wouldn't have the resources to pay people to do all that work. And you certainly might even not be able to get them to do the work, no matter what you were paying, because it was such hard work and so much work per individual. So yeah, but it's hugely productive, but the cost is too high. You're demanding too much sacrifice from a population. So I mean, but there is an ideal economics where people do have incentive to work, work hard sometimes and do unpleasant work, and you don't want to pay a fortune for it, though. I mean, you don't want to make it too expensive that the work is no longer valuable because it costs so much to have it done. So theoretically, you want to be able to lend out as much money as possible, because every bit of money you throw out there is going to be a carrot, or it's going to be a work incentive. And so as long as you have a population that's underemployed, yeah, you want to put money out there so you can employ them. But that's where this gets all complicated, because if it was a different world, it wouldn't really be a problem, because there's lots of productive work to do. But it's this new technology world, and some work isn't very valuable. I mean, you got to have skilled labor's valuable, unskilled labor is not valuable, and that's just the way it is, because there's an excess of unskilled laborers, and that's a problem. So what's the overall point? Yeah, but I still think there's plenty of work to get done. But the problem is capitalists aren't going to get the work done, because they want to make profit on everything, and they got to make a lot of profit. So they only want to invest in businesses that are likely to pull a lot of money out of your pocket and not give you too much value that they have to pay out. They want to maximize their profit. Where if a government invests in something, we the people invest in something, we're not really interested in profit. We just like to get our money back. So if the government makes a loan, the hope the government would have would just be, I want to get my return back. So when the government invests in the future for education or infrastructure or some other thing, the argument is it's hoping to get the money back in terms of productivity of those people it's invested in. But that's always sort of been a lie, because they never pay any of this money back and all that kind of crap. So I think the investment ought to be more like a loan. When the government spends money, in the economy. It ought to loan money into the economy with the expectation that it get the money back. Not necessarily a profit back, just the principal back. Maybe something for inflation, but that would destroy inflation in a way too, because it's interest being paid that causes inflation. That's the cause of inflation, interest. People thinking their ownership entitles them to profit is what creates the necessity that there be inflation. And the trick with inflation and these MMT guys is that you can delay it. You can create all the instruments of inflation, but because it's all caught up in these banks and all this paper, well, none of that paper's in the real world right at the moment. If it ever falls into the real world, like in the housing bubble, if all of a sudden it slides into the reality, then it's going to mean something, and then the inflation starts to happen. And I would argue that that's what all this deficit spending and all this crap has created. And even the printed cash in the last 2 years has been $2 trillion worth of printed cash. You know, 3-4 years ago there was only $3 trillion in circulation. Now there's $5 trillion. So I think your money's lost 20% in the last couple of years. But all of that hasn't fallen yet. It hasn't smashed through the dam. And I guess all I'm saying is that's how it's all going to end, is that there's a whole pile of inflation built up with this unpayable debt. There's too many IOUs, too little productivity that can pay it off in the future. So it's got to die. It's got to crash. And yeah, that's it. You know, there's nothing else. There's no other real possibility, and that's really just going to be the inflation coming home to roost. Alright, that's enough of a video. So anyway, this file's going to be monstrous. But anyway, pretty nice cameras, blah blah blah. So, whatever. No, I think, yeah, no more than 50. Yeah. Anyway, till next time and such.